In today's video, we look at SiteOne Therapeutics ahead of its potential $1 billion valuation. Hi guys, hope you're doing well. First, we'll cover the deal. Then we'll discuss the technology and scientific differentiation, followed by the market landscape and strategic context. Then we'll review the strategic value proposition and competitive positioning. After that, we'll cover the strategic outlook. And finally, we'll end with our predictive financial valuation. So starting with the deal, SiteOne Therapeutics has entered a substantial development and commercialization deal with Eli Lilly. The deal is valued up to $1 billion and centers around STC-004. The company's lead product candidate, STC-004, is a selective 𝗦𝗓𝗏 sodium channel inhibitor with a peripheral mechanism to block pain signaling. Importantly, STC-004 has completed a phase 1 trial and is ready to enter phase 2 trials. Moving on to the technology and scientific differentiation. So STC-004 targets an 𝗕1.8, a voltage-gated sodium channel that is predominantly expressed in peripheral sensory neurons that transmit pain signals to the central nervous system. It avoids central nervous system penetration, thus minimizing the risk of C and S-related side effects and dependency. The MOA is highly validated. In fact, Vertex recently received FDA approval for their own 𝗕1.8 inhibitor, Journay PM, for the treatment of post-herpetic neuralgia. Other big pharma like SiteOne Therapeutics and Pfizer are also advancing similar pathways. SiteOne's candidate, however, may offer improved selectivity and peripheral targeting, particularly relevant in chronic pain settings such as neuropathy, post-surgical pain, and musculoskeletal disorders. This mechanism also suggests a potential expansion strategy into multiple indications such as diabetic neuropathy, osteoarthritis, and fibromyalgia, creating a broad pipeline beyond the initial label. Next, let's look at the market landscape and strategic context. So the global non-opioid pain market is undergoing an inflection point. Traditional treatments like NSAIDs and opioids dominate the chronic pain space, but both face significant safety concerns and regulatory hurdles. STC-004 is well positioned as a non-opioid peripherally acting analgesic. The pain therapeutics market is expected to exceed $60 billion globally by 2030. The deal with Eli Lilly also comes amidst its recent acquisition of RNA-based therapies for hearing loss, indicating a broader diversification across neurosensory disorders. Lilly already markets Emgality, Rayvow, and Cymbalta. So STC-004 would represent a complementary non-opioid addition to its CNS and pain portfolio. Now let's review the strategic value proposition and competitive positioning. SiteOne's value proposition is centered on 3 key points. 1. Peripheral selectivity. 2. Non-opioid mechanism. And 3. Validated MOA. SiteOne's lead product candidate STC-004 utilizes a peripheral mechanism of action which may translate to fewer side effects compared to centrally acting agents. Centrally acting agents have shown to cause adverse events such as respiratory depression, constipation, and cognitive impairment. By targeting pain at the site of injury, STC-004 aims to minimize these risks. 2. Non-opioid mechanism. STC-004 addresses the critical unmet need for non-opioid pain therapies with no addiction liability. This is crucial given the ongoing opioid epidemic and the stringent regulations surrounding opioid prescribing. 3. Validated MOA. The company's technology is based on a well-validated molecular target, 𝗕1.8. This sodium channel is highly expressed in nociceptive neurons and plays a pivotal role in transmitting pain signals. The FDA approval of Vertex's Journay PM further validates this pathway, making STC-004 a compelling second-in-class candidate. There are some competitive threats though. Vertex's Journay PM represents the main competition. However, SiteOne's lead product candidate has several potential advantages including enhanced selectivity, optimized pharmacokinetics, and a favorable safety profile. Additionally, SiteOne has a strategic partnership with Eli Lilly, which may help to accelerate development and commercialization efforts. Other competitive threats include 𝗏𝗏 Therapeutics, 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗏𝗧, also licensed by Lilly, and generic competition if safety and differentiation is not clearly demonstrated. So what does the strategic outlook look like? Given current market signals, regulatory momentum, and pharma priorities, SiteOne Therapeutics might consider the following paths. 1. Accelerate phase 2 with focused indications. Prioritize pain types with the fastest regulatory pathways, for example, post-operative or musculoskeletal pain. 2. Maximize optionality post-phase 2. If efficacy signals are strong, SiteOne may choose to retain global rights outside the US and negotiate separate regional deals or prepare for IPO. 3. Position as Vertex differentiator. Develop data highlighting differentiation versus Journay PM, such as duration, safety, and delivery method. 4. Expand indications. Leverage the peripheral mechanism to expand into chronic indications where opioids are contraindicated or ineffective. These strategies may drive valuation growth, attract further strategic partnerships, or establish SiteOne as a prime IPO candidate by late 2026. So what does success look like for SiteOne? Achieving proof of concept in one or more pain indications, securing additional funding through a follow-on financing, or further pharma partnerships, and ultimately establishing a robust clinical pipeline that supports a successful IPO or acquisition by a larger pharma company. Now let's move on to the financial valuation and IPO outlook. Assuming continued regulatory progress, here is the likely valuation trajectory for SiteOne Therapeutics. By late 2026, end of phase 2 proof of concept, valuation may range between $900 million to $1.4 billion, especially if efficacy mirrors or exceeds Vertex and 𝗍1.8 inhibitor. By 2027, pre-phase 3 IPO window, assuming phase 2 endpoints are met, an IPO could be expected with valuations trending upward of $1.4 billion to $2.1 billion. By 2028 to 2029, mid to late phase 3, valuation may approach $2.5 billion to $3.5 billion, driven by FDA approval, launch in at least one pain indication. Peak valuation could exceed $3.5 billion after market entry in 2030, contingent on uptake, payer access, and post-market safety. Finally, let's wrap up with some concluding remarks. As 𝗏𝗏 may represent a key inflection point in the evolution of pain therapeutics. The asset is backed by strong MOA, growing investor interest in non-opioid solutions, and a strategic partnership with a major pharma player. Regulatory momentum and industry interest may support a pre-IPO valuation exceeding $1 billion within the next 24 months, assuming successful phase 2 results. The company may become a prime acquisition or IPO candidate depending on Lilly's exercise of options and data emerging in 2026. Broader pipeline expansion, real-world data, and differentiation from competitors like Vertex will be key to sustaining long-term value. Alright, that's all for now. Hope you found this video helpful. Thank you, and until next time.